Hey, welcome everybody to Rolling on Three, the first podcast for all three-wheel owners. Whether you're riding on a Can Am Ryker, Spider, or Slingshot, this is the show for you. Today, I'd like to welcome Stephanie to the show. Stephanie's from Colorado, and she has her own YouTube channel, StellaRidesARyker. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank,
having me.
thank you. I start the show with the same question. What are you rolling on?
I am on a Riker rally. It's the 900, and I particularly went with the rally because of the change for suspension. Because out here in Colorado, you've got to be able to change things, whether you're up in the mountains, going around the corners, on the flats out east. And so I liked the fact that, the versatility was there. And I'm really glad I did, because I have had to change. There's like 5 settings, and I have had to change that.
Hmm,
And so I'm glad I was able to do that instead of just having to accept what the road was giving me.
that's cool. That's cool. When did you buy the Riker?
I got it in June, at the end of June. In fact, we had never seen one before. And I had just had surgery to have my gallbladder removed. And like, it was our first day getting out walking. And I made the mistake of saying to my husband, "Oh, let's go in here." It was Pikes Peak Motorsports. And he thought that was someone's custom product.
Okay.
He thought someone had brought it in to be serviced, and it was like something that they homemade. And
Hmm.
so he was talking to the salesperson, and the guy said, "Well, no, that's a Can Am Ryker." And when my husband was like, "What's that?" And I instantly fell in love with it. And it fit me. I'm only 5'5". I've got really short legs, and it fit me. And it gave me the freedom back of having my own ride again, because I used to have my own ride, and then I had to give it up and ride on the back with my husband. And
Okay.
honestly, I wanted my own freedom, and it gave that to me. And so literally 1 week later, we signed the papers for mine.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting story how that came about. That's pretty cool. When you bought the Riker, is it from a dealership near you, or how does it work over there in Colorado?
Yeah, I bought it in a dealership in Florence, Colorado.
Okay.
We used to live in Colorado Springs just until like October. We lived in Colorado Springs, and their Pikes Peak Motorsports didn't have any inventory really. So we went to a small town called Florence, Colorado. It's
Okay.
like where all the maximum security prisons are, like the federal ad max and all of that. It's like all of these high security prisons, and then this like motorcycle store. And honestly, I wouldn't purchase from them again. Their stock was great, but the sales side of it wasn't great.
Understandable.
But they had really good stock, and they had like 2 Riker rallies left. And I mean, I put money down on it before I even walked into the store. I called them up, and they said, "Yeah, we only have 2 left." And I'm like, "Here's my credit card. Put some money down on it, because I'm having that baby." And
Right.
then we went.
Yeah, I have a similar situation. I ran over to the dealer and got on the waiting list to get my Riker. So I understand it. You went over there and just said, "Hey, you got two left? I'm taking them." I hear that. Did you
Right.
did you ever ride before?
I got my own, I learned how to ride motorcycle as soon as we moved out to Colorado in 2012. And about 3 weeks later, my husband at the time was an over the road truck driver.
Okay.
And he went over the road and came back, and I had my motorcycle license. And so then my first bike was a Suzuki Boulevard, a 650, which was great for me. It was small. It helped me get my confidence, but like it wasn't really highway strength, you know? And from there I went to a Honda VTX 1800. Bloody hell. It was like 3 times the size of this bike, legit.
Yeah, that's an upgrade.
And that was too tall for me. So I settled on a Yamaha V-Star, and I loved it. Like it was made for me. But then I developed an autoimmune issue where I had a lot of joint problems and everything. And I just didn't feel the confidence that, like, after riding for a while, and we did trips out to Wisconsin where we're from. And so I had a lot of miles on that bike, but I lost my confidence that like my joints would hold if I've been riding a while and then stop and put your legs down. Are my legs going to hold me up? Okay, so I then rode with my husband for a few years, and going from riding with him from riding on my own to riding with him, I developed like probably part of this autoimmune thing, but like I lost my tolerance to handle pain, and like you can get some serious pain in your hips and your knees when you're riding on the back of someone's Harley. That's a fact. And I ended up passing out on the bike, and I came off and I broke my fall with my cheekbone. And so, you know, it that kind of started this search to have my own ride again, because clearly I wasn't going to be able to ride long distances with my husband. And so this Ryker rally literally gave me my joy back, and gave me my freedom and the ability to ride. It went from being able to ride, you know, 2,000 miles to Wisconsin and back to riding 50 miles on the back of a bike. And now we're talking about riding to Wisconsin again next year. That's nice. That's right, real nice. Like that's where I'm so enthusiastic about this ride. I really am. And since I didn't even know it was there, and it sort of opened my eyes to the fact that there's a whole kind of niche community out there.
I was going to ask you, how's the bike life out there? Is it a lot of Can-Ams? Is it mixed? Like, what do you see?
I'm starting to see more Rykers. Okay. In fact, people, like, I've had people stop and stare when I ride by. You know, I've got, you know, these pearlized white panels on mine. I'm kind of minimalist. I don't like a lot of action with my bike. It's kind of, you know, the flat black and then just these pearlized white panels. But, you know, I still wear my leathers. You know, I started off on a Harley with my husband. So I'm, you know, I have my leathers, and I do wear a helmet when I ride on my own. He made me start wearing a helmet after falling off the bike. But so I wear my helmet. The sun out here, I mean, we lived at 6,500 feet of elevation. The sun out here is something to be respected. Wow. I mean, so I have a balaclava on and all of that, but I mean, you do look dead cool on these things, and people have stopped and stared when I ride by.
I respect that.
I'm seeing a lot more Ryker rallies out here. You know, you typically, what you would see before are spiders or like Harley tri-glides. Okay. You know, when you're talking like they're $30,000-$40,000, those two bikes. Yes. What I love about this is, for the princely sum of 10 grand, I have just a cool piece of machine, and it didn't break the bank. I can be a bit sassy on it because I'm not riding on, like, you know, this crazy expensive ride. I can be a bit sassy, and I like it.
The price point is amazing. So that's really definitely a good buy. That's definitely a good buy. So like in Colorado, the riding, the roads, you did a little bit about the weather. Like we'll start off with like the roads out there. Is it like you're doing dirt roads? Are we doing highway roads? Are we doing city? What are we doing out there when we put miles on the bike there?
Well, you know, it's interesting Honestly, I would say Colorado. I don't like riding in Colorado as much as I liked in Wisconsin.
Okay.
In Wisconsin, you've got your hills, you've got your curves, but every single road is paved.
Okay.
So you can legitimately go on a long weekend ride and never hit an interstate. And I ride with a guy who used to spend his life on the interstates as an over-the-road truck driver.
Okay.
On his motorcycle, he don't want to be on the interstate, and so out here, the tricky part is where I could certainly go on dirt roads. A Harley Street Glide does not ride on dirt roads.
Not at all. Not
and
at all.
out here, a lot of the north-south roads are unpaved. Like I remember when we moved out here and I said, oh, well, they didn't put very many roads on the map, on the atlas. And he said, no, they're all there. They're just not paved.
Wow.
And it's weird. Like out east, and we're right on the front range of the Rocky Mountains. So we're on the east side of the Rocky Mountains, but they're like right down the road. Right. And there are no real, apart from a couple of main highways and an interstate, there really aren't a lot of north-south roads that are paved. There's a lot of east-west, but you also get some hellacious winds.
Oh, okay.
And those winds on the plains are next level. But we really like riding out east where there really just is no one. It's our road. And you can see for miles. There are some clear days you can almost see Kansas. Wow. And everyone, especially during this pandemic, so many people have been going up in the mountains to see the views and everything. And we just don't want to be where everybody else is. And so we go and we look at the farms and the oil fields and just all the really cool stuff that people don't really realize is even out there.
Right. No, I mean, I watch some of the, people's videos, your videos, and, people put up pictures on Instagram, and I have to admire how they can just go out and take these beautiful rides and park up and take these pictures where, I'm stuck in New York City traffic most of the time, but it gives me enough time to, think about ideas for my next show. So it works out in my favor, kind of.
We are a bit spoiled.
Out where you're at, like if someone was traveling through your area, your town, your neighborhood, is there a popular bike meetup spot, like where everybody goes to hang out, gas up or?
Well, I don't really know if I could be the definitive answer on that. One, we've just moved to a suburb just outside of Denver.
Okay.
So I don't know about Denver, but just the nature of the biking community, I don't really want to go into the details of it.
No, I understand.
You probably understand. The nature of the biking community, like my husband prefers to not, he prefers to ride just us on our own or with some very, very close friends. We don't like riding in large groups. Like we'll do the toy country or the high country toy run and stuff like that. But there can be some competing groups out here and we don't want to engage. And
perfectly normal.
For just
perfectly
our own
normal.
enjoyment, we kind of like to keep it really intimate.
No, perfectly normal. I was going to ask you anyway if you rode out with big clubs or big everything, but you summed it up to me. So, I mean, I saw the toy run ride on your YouTube channel, so we could talk about that. Why YouTube? What came about that? What was the inspiration to go with the Ryker and YouTube?
Well, it's so funny. It's obvious. I'm a total rookie, and and I never envisioned having this I'm not looking to be Insta famous, if you know what I mean, right? Like it's just a lot of enjoyment for me, and it's neat for me to be able to kind of because I'm so conscious of the road, and I cannot underestimate to you how many people don't see us when we ride.
Oh no, I can relate. I had a few accidents already.
And it's unbelievable because I kind of take up a little bit of real estate on the road, but yet it's amazing how many people don't see you. So for me,
Yeah.
it's a lot of enjoyment is being able to
Mhm.
actually watch my own ride back and see what I
Oh,
missed while I
okay.
was completely and utterly focusing on making sure that I don't get T-boned by a semi.
No,
And
that's a good idea to watch your own ride outs. That's
for an
pretty cool.
ambulance that, because in one of my videos, you can see a car past me going up a hill on a double yellow line, totally past me, cut me off when he pulled back in, and literally 500 feet up the road, he did the same thing to someone else and rolled it. And we just kind of drove by him. My husband gave him a, a hand signal, and as we drove by.
Well,
And then
it's one of those things
20 minutes we get down the road, and the ambulance that was going to him nearly T-boned me. And it's like,
Ooh.
because the ambulance garage was right there on the road. So he literally pulled out of the garage and pulled into the road, hadn't even had his lights on yet and his siren on. And I thought, dude, you have got to look.
If anybody
So
has to
it's
look,
those types
if
of things.
anybody, it has to be him. He should be looking out
Right, right.
for anything.
So
Well, I
that's how that
guess,
started.
yeah.
I didn't even buy the camera for the bike. I had that because my daughter had a school trip and we'd bought her a camera that could go underwater. And sure enough, this camera had a mounting system. And my
Oh,
husband's like,
okay.
oh, heck, let's just throw it on the bike.
Right.
And so I just organically have learned, like, one, to turn the sound off because no one likes to hear the road noise.
No.
But, so they're organic, let's just say.
So let's see. Now you have the Ryker. I see you have the white panels. So you have mods, future mods. What are you planning on adding? What do you plan on taking off? What do you think you need? Let's talk about those mods. Everybody likes to hear about the mods.
Well, I definitely took off the on the Ryker, they've got like the on the Rally, they've got the hand guards.
Yes.
I took those off right away because I like it streamlined and minimalist.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be like my own motorcycle, right? Like I don't see it as anything other than my motorcycle.
Right.
And so I took that off. I added the bag so that, because like I need stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Out
You
here
need.
you have to travel for 4 seasons because literally in a day you can go through all 4 seasons.
Wow.
And so I have that, and I changed the sway. Is it the sway bars? It's the little
End
tiny.
links. The end links.
Thank you. That's my husband's department. I'm like,
I did every modification you could think of almost to my Ryker. So usually when people say I'll be like, yeah, I know what you did.
Yeah, that one. And I'm really glad I did those.
Yes.
But that's where I changed that. That's where I changed my suspension sometimes because it feels a little like loose.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I feel like I'm gonna fly off the road.
You
And
actually
so when I
get better.
tighten that up a bit.
Yeah, you get better grip on the road when you change the end links.
Yeah.
You do. So it feels different, but you're actually getting a better grip on the road. So yeah, that's a good mod.
Right. And so and I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I wanted to give myself time to ride it and see what I wanted to do. I do think I'm going to increase, or certainly for the visibility, whether it's something to do with the lights or adding reflective or something.
Right.
I've got to do something to get the point across to people that I'm there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so that's probably the biggest thing that I'm going to investigate this year. I don't know if you got it, but I got a recall notice for mine.
Yeah.
Of the something to do with the front tires. So
I got the lug nut recall and the brake reservoir recall, and those actually I put a video up because when I got the lug nut recall, I put a video up and showed exactly how my wheel lug nut completely split in half. And so I put that up and people were like, what? And I said, yeah, I got it to the shop and they replaced it. But I know people were having problems not with the wheel, but I believe it was the wheel sensor more than the wheel.
Yeah, mine was on like because it's got that red clip, right?
Right.
That
Mhm.
and that has to do with, like they said, if it looks like this, don't even ride it
Right.
to the dealership. And one of them looks like that, where they're like they'll come out and flatbed it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because and I'm thinking, y'all, like this is, but at the same time I'm glad that that's where I'm glad I bought it new, so that I'm the registered owner and I get those
Right, right. Absolutely.
notices.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you buy things secondhand, you don't get those.
Right. And then you would have to find out if they covered all the recalls. Yeah. Yeah. No, no, you did the right thing. And like I said, I didn't have too many problems with mine, just those two recalls. And then when they took care of it, I actually have, because when I bought mines, I'm actually in the first 1,000 of production.
Oh
So
wow.
I got it pretty early, so I was on a waiting list to get mine. So, so far so good. I can't complain. I absolutely haven't had a problem with the bike since I got it. I did have a VSS error code, but that was to my own fault. I was messing around with stuff that I shouldn't have messed around with. But, it was something that, I made a mistake, but it was a
Sure.
silly mistake, but I made the mistake. But after that, I haven't had a problem, a flat, no, no issues. I mean, people
Right.
talk about spot rust, things like that, but I mean, everything rusts, right? Everything's metal, but I haven't had no serious issues, and BRP and
I live
Can-Am.
somewhere where it's 10% humidity. We don't really get rust out here.
See, that's great. See, I get humidity, salt in the winter, and then I get the ocean breeze when I can. So yeah, my bike is subject to all the elements, but I don't have that problem where if I ride it, the weather changes on me in one trip like you do. But I do
Right.
have some serious seasons, and I am completely done for this riding season. So
Oh
until
yeah, because like I said, we moved at the end of October. So obviously I rode it up here. It was brisk.
mm,
I was in full leathers when I rode it up to Denver from Colorado Springs. And but that's kind of, my husband does not like us to ride when they've got like the mag chloride or the salt on the roads,
right.
because it comes with so much extra gravel, and then it just makes it so dangerous.
No, it is.
But
It is. It is.
one thing that I'm really super glad I went with is the adjustable windscreen
Okay.
or windshield. Um, because like I said, out here we get some serious winds,
Mm,
and you get those in the mountains as well. And it surprises me how much a little windshield like that actually cuts
yes.
that path
Yes.
for me, and
Yes.
kind of it really does change that ride. And the
No.
fact that I can put it up or put it down depending on where I'm riding is a deal breaker for me.
The
It really
wind
is.
the windshield for me was probably out of the $3,000 I've spent on modifications. The windshield was probably the best thing. And I went aftermarket and I got a pretty tall one, a 15-inch, and it changed
Hmm.
my riding situation from night and day. Like, just that
Hmm.
that force of wind on your chest now, not there. It's just, yeah, now I can really, when I have a time to open it up and, really put some miles on it, put some speed out there, of course, obeying all the speed
Oh,
limits,
hello.
then I enjoy having the windshield. So I have this segment in the show where I ask this question, and it's pretty new, and I've always got a different answer. So it's your turn now. If you had to describe your Can-Am in one word or one sentence, I give you the option. How would you describe it?
Fun.
Fun. Okay, that's all I need. That sums it up. That's a big word.
Yeah, it just is so much enjoyment. And it's like, and I'm almost 50. I turned 50 in a couple months, and it just is the kind
I'm
of fun that
I'm
I
right
need
behind.
at
I'm right behind
my
you.
age.
I'm right
Right.
behind you.
It really is just the kind of thing that I needed to kind of blow those cobwebs out and to, be able to just get on and get that wind therapy that, I desperately needed. And so, I mean, I'm really happy with it.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, Stephanie. Stephanie has a YouTube channel. So for all the people who are just listening and not watching, uh tell everybody what you got. Tell all your social media, let the people know.
Well, I've got StellaRidesARyker on YouTube. And I'm very real. I've got bugs on my face, and it's fine. I'm not looking for approval. It's just my own fun. But and then I just use my personal Instagram which is Stella. I think it's underscore Smythe. I can't remember. I literally don't even remember. It's on my YouTube, Stella
There you
Rides a
go.
Riker.
There you go. Listen, if you guys want to find Stephanie, it's StellaRidesARyker. You heard her. Her Instagram is on her YouTube, so that's you got to figure out from there if you want to follow her. This is Rolling on Three, the first podcast for three wheel owners. I'm Keith Hammer. You could find my show on YouTube at Rolling on Three Wheels, all spelled out. You can email me at rollingon3wheels at gmail. That's the number three, not spelled out. You can find me on Instagram at rollingon3. You can find me on Twitter at rollingon3. You can find me on Instagram, Shadow Black Riker. I take all questions. Anybody interested in being on the show. There, please like, subscribe. There's all types of donate and funding buttons on my YouTube and on my podcast to help me out to bring the whole Riker and Can Am and Spider community together. Stephanie, this was a great show. You're a nice person. I like your channel. You're doing cool things. I gotta have you back soon after you take some more of them rides in the mountains so we could talk about all those pictures and things like that.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for tuning in and have a good